Hello my wonderful people, welcome to my platform. Anywhere you are watching this video from, if you like what you are seeing, please subscribe. And also I want to appreciate YouTube for this wonderful platform they created for us to use to disseminate information. And I also want to put a disclaimer to my platform, to all the content in this platform, that we do not promote hate speech, violence or misinformation. We do not instigate any war or any violence. We are here to educate the members of the public. We react to all forms of videos. I always stay there to watch the video together with my audience so that they will be informed. So if you like it, subscribe, share, and always leave your comment constructively in the comment section. Let us watch together now.
Now you are together in one Nigeria. Everything is falling apart to the extent that people are coming from Mali, from Senegambia, from Niger, from Chad, in your backyard, raping and killing you. It's a no-brainer. It's simple common sense. As I said before, that is who we are. Because once you allow an element of stress, an infusion of competition, you get the best out of the people. Right now, we do not have that. Right now, there is no competition. Right now, this thing about one Nigeria, unity is stifling the creative potentials in us, all of us. Yoruba is not doing well. Biafra is not doing well. Middle Belt is not doing well. The North is not doing well. Nobody is doing well. Then you ask yourself, all these glorious reference to our past, what period was it? The only period was between 1960 to 1965. And then you had Richards. Who can argue with that? So the more you separate, the more you look inwards, the more you look at yourself, the more you become self-reliant, the more do you know that in those days, all the regions that they had embassies abroad? Do you know that? Do you know Eastern region had their own embassies abroad with their flag? Are you aware of that? Most people don't know this. And that was the time that Nigeria witnessed a semblance of growth in terms of human development. Now you have a very should I say, disgraceful contraption called one Nigeria. And everybody is struggling. Cows are making your lives a misery. If you don't know that going back to autonomy is the best way forward, then there is something wrong with that person.
Onyendo, thank you very much. Just because you know everything we do in Biafra, we stand by the truth. We do everything with evidence and fact. Just to back up what you have just said, I told you about 93 pages of application filed to the ICC. Barely few years of formation of IPOB, because this was in 2016. Barely 2 years. The foundation of Nigeria were shaken by the formation of IPOB and the activity of the IPOB in Nigeria. So on that ground, this application was filed in 2016 January. So I am bringing it to the screen now for people to see. For those who are asking, this is number one. The application has been filed 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, and this is 2021. And there is nothing to show for it. And that is the place I'm going. I'm going somewhere with this statement I'm making now, which we are going to discuss, later on in this program. Now, when you read the introduction here, it says, one, this communication is hereby filed to the Office of the Prosecutor, the OTP of the International Criminal Court, the ICC, pursuant to Article 15 of the Rome Statute, the statute, by Professor Goran Slota and Andrew, on behalf of the indigenous people of Biafra, a movement dedicated to self-determination of a former republic of Biafra in southeastern Nigeria, as well as on behalf of 17 individual citizens of Nigeria, the victims collectively, with the IPOB, the petitioner. Two, the petitioner submit that, based on the information set out herein, there is reason to believe that crimes against humanity within the jurisdiction of the ICC, in particular, murder, unlawful imprisonment, torture, enforcement, disappearance, other inhuman acts, and persecution have been committed in the context of politically and ethnically motivated state violence against primarily IPOB members and the Igbo people of southeastern Nigeria. Due to the absence of domestic criminal proceedings with respect to those potentially bearing the greatest responsibility for these crimes, in particular, but not limited to Nigeria current President Muhammadu Buhari, and that was then, and in the light of the gravity of the act committed. Now, this is 93 pages, 93 good pages. The list can go on and go on. Factual evidences, citations, references, up to 93 good pages. And of course, like you said in the beginning, that you do not want to discuss this thing because a lot have been done and the people are not aware of it. So just to, let the public understand, what the IPOB have done all this while, when people go on social media to say IPOB under leadership of Nnamdi Kanu is doing this or they are not doing that, so this is just one evidence of it, that as far back as 2016, you have started taking actions which are necessary, lawful and legal actions against the Nigeria terrorist state. But up to now, nothing is happening. But I'm still going to come back to why I am showing this thing, because the actions of today is as a result of the failure of the international community to heed to the call of the Biafra people, of which you have done honorably well in that aspect. So this is just a side comment on what you have said before. Now, going to what you just said about how Nigeria, how it will benefit the other region and the component that makes up Nigeria, how it will benefit them when Nigeria is disintegrated. And you made mention of what you read, that Nigeria of yesterday, that yesterday is better than today. And that is very awkward fact. Very, very awkward fact that every president that comes to Nigeria, the last one will always be better than the new one. It's not only in the economic sector and all that. But the second question, or the third question I want to ask you is this. Now, looking at what is happening now, a lot of people don't understand what is going on in Nigeria. A lot of people still believe of course, they still believe somehow in Nigeria. They believe that the structure, the political structure of Nigeria is the major problem. And we, people following you, have a different view and a different opinion to this. And I think this is where the interest is clashing. Anybody that is shouting for Nigeria today believe that the problem is in the political structure. We are believing that the problem is not about political structure, but rather there is a motivated or there is a premeditated act to take our land and turn it into Islamic State of LYNDA'S. So we are not looking at the aspect of the political structure anymore. It is a struggle for survival of our people. I want you to shed more light on this, because those supporting one Nigeria must have reason. And the reason what we have seen is that they are thinking that the political structure of Nigeria is the problem of Nigeria. So can you tell us more about, that it is not the political structure, rather something they should know about?
Thank you, Simon. It's something they know about, but pretend not to know about it. Everybody knows about the hegemonic tendencies of the Fulani Caliphate. We are well versed in the, should I call it, shenanigans of those people who are always expanding. There was a lecture that I gave that the Fulanis are the only people that continues to expand. Not expand in terms of population, but in terms of territorial influence and supplanting existing cultures and traditions with their own. When we say this, people say, "Oh, you're warmongering, you're profiling, and it is hate and all the rest of it." And I say it is pure nonsense. Look at the history of the Hausa people. Those of you that want one Nigeria, look at what is happening today in Kanem Borno, the place they call Borno State. Look at the fate of those of them in the Middle Belt. Look at the fate of those of them, our brothers and sisters in Yoruba land, Yoruba. Even the Caliphate left their footprints there many, many years ago in Kwara State. Many years ago, they overran Nupe people of Niger State. Many years ago, some of you don't know this, they forcibly tried to convert the Ata of Igala to Islam. These things are there in our history books. They are everywhere. If one Nigeria means that our land should be surrendered to people from Senegambia, then death is a better option because it's not going to happen. We are the Biafran people, and within that Biafra, it contains a very unique race in the world called the Igbo race. They are very difficult, don't get me wrong, but they are very unique. Very, very unique. I don't think anybody is more stubborn than we are. I don't think anybody is more generous than we are. I do not believe that any race on this earth is more affluent in terms of natural blessing than we are. Anybody thinking they can use the guise of one Nigeria to take the land of our ancestors, that person is dreaming. Them and their cohorts, they are dreaming. And I will tell you why they are dreaming. They have tried before, over 300 years ago, to take that very land. They failed. Islam made it to the sea across West Africa. Islam made it to the Atlantic Ocean. The only place that Islam did not succeed in penetrating is the East. And when they came for that very jihad, we had no army at all. God Almighty in heaven took them and put them behind the fought for us. All their armies died. That thing they tried in Kwara State and succeeded, they tried it in Lower Benue, in Idoma and Igere lands, and they failed. All their armies died. The few that survived, they trekked back to Zaria from whence they came. I must warn anybody, all of these people agitating or saying, oh, we want one Nigeria, you are setting up yourselves to fail. You are as foolish as Hausa peasants. Hausa peasants did the same thing you're doing. Oh, allow them, give them land, give them cattle. By the time they woke up, all their kings were dead. Hausa kingdoms became Fulani Emirates. Where you have Hausa governors, you have Fulani governors. Telling you we are Hausa Fulani, we are Hausa Fulani. And I keep asking myself, why is it that people don't see all these things? Is it because, of course, that is why we call them a zoo, because they are very foolish. Without apologies to anyone. Because if you are not foolish, history is there for you to reference. These people asking you for land, asking you for Ruga, maintain peace, let's stay in one Nigeria. What are their antecedents? What have they done in the past? Because where we come from, from their behavior in the past, you now know if you can trust them or not. But it's Britain that is behind the scenes, remoting everything that's happening in this. I am a British citizen. I hold a British passport. I know there are good men and women in England. It is a land of conscience. It was English people that left Southampton to come to America to build America, the land of the free. English people, yes. They traveled on a ship called Mary Rose. They landed at a place called New England. Conscientious, honorable, God-fearing people. They were the ones that helped slaves to escape from the south to the north. English people. But there is a breed we have now. Blood-sucking demons. Their job is to hold Africa down. To hold a black person down. And how are they doing it? They don't want you to tamper with any of their creations in Africa all these idiotic states, all these artificial boundaries they gave us in Africa. No, because that is the beginning of the chain that is holding us down, and they know it. And the question is, who is a Nigerian? And I will ask you a simple, I want you to contemplate something, Simon, for me. Go on. If I ask you now to go and prepare a Nigerian dish for me, what are you going to present? Because if you bring a wedu soup, somebody from the East will tell you that is not their food. They're not going to eat it. If you bring Afan or a big guy from, somebody from Kano State will tell you that is not our food. If you bring Tuwo, is it Tuwo Shinkafi or whatever they call it, somebody from the Middle Belt will say that is not our food. Ordinary food, there is no commonality. Is it the way they dress? So I keep asking myself every blessed day when I wake up, what is it that unites Nigeria together? And then I discovered it is two things. An innate desire to be corrupt, and secondly, stupidity. Those two things are very, very pivotal. They are the things driving the zoo. People talk about their founding fathers. When the Fulanis are talking, they say our founding fathers, and I keep asking them, Nigeria, your president, so-called, the dead Buhari, is older than the country. Where else in the world do you have a head of state that is actually older than the country in the 21st century? So tell me one place. Only in Africa. Because they came to Africa and they built all these contraptions, and now in our idiocy and stupidity as black people, we accepted it. As I keep asking all the time, can you go to Europe to build a country for them? They will hang you that same day. If you cannot do the same thing in Europe that Europeans did in Africa, then why are you accepting it? Why are you accepting it? The key thing here is the way we reason. That is the problem with the black man, how we reason. People talk about Nigeria as their country, talk about Nigeria as their nation, as if Nigeria has any legs to stand on in the first place. Nigeria has no meaning. It is a very derisory meaning. It means something very terrible and very awful. If I ask in Yoruba language, tell me the meaning of Nigeria, you cannot tell me. If I go to Igbo language, tell me the meaning of Nigeria, you cannot tell me. But I know the meaning of England. It's the land of the English people. I know the meaning of France, or is the land of the French people. It's only in Africa they have all this garbage. And we are, after our university, after our so-called PhD, FFD, SSD, common to reason like a human being, we cannot. Those are the things we are fighting. And those are the things that our detractors are very, very uncomfortable with. And that is why today you must pat yourself on the back, and every IPOB member for that matter, for the very simple reason. At last, people are beginning to reason with you. All thanks to what we are doing. So don't mind them. When they go back into the privacy of their homes, they consider what we are saying is right. But outwardly, due to economic, political, or whatever thing that it is, they wish to throw the line of let's keep Nigeria warm. We are not fighting with anybody. All we're asking them to do is to reason for once in their useless lives to be able to. They say insult them. If an idiot, why won't I insult you? I'm asking you, go to a white man's land and tell them you want to create a country in Europe. That day they will roast you alive. In fact, they will first of all inject you. They will say you are not well in the brain. They came to our land, they divided Yoruba into three. Some Yoruba is in Togo, some Yoruba is in Benin Republic, some are in the zoo. You're telling me that a Yoruba man who is in Nigeria is more related to a Kanuri man who is in Borno, more than his own brother in the other side of Paraguay, in Porto Novo, in Benin Republic. They speak the same language, wear the same clothes, do eat the same food, everything is the same. But a white man, now we have French Yoruba, those who are in Benin Republic and in Togo. We now have English Yoruba who are in Nigeria. What type of God made us? And let me give you an example before I conclude on this very point. Simon, is this. Do you know that Togo used to belong to Germany before? Togo, they were Germans before. After the Second World War, they used Togo to compensate France because Germany lost the war. And these are human beings in Africa, for Christ's sake. I can't understand this type of nonsense. I can't understand it. And that is why I keep saying that the one of the greatest, disasters to befall me in life is to come from Africa. Where people do not reason. How can you have the same people? One part is French, the other part is English. Is English and is Yoruba and the French, are they the same people? The answer is no. And you're telling me that a Yoruba man inside Nigeria should be related with somebody in Borno State. Lord have mercy. Thank you very much, please.
Thank you very much, Onyendu. You have explained this thing very broadly. The point you have made very clear is that they knew that the problem of Nigeria is not based on political structure. They know it very well. The problem of Nigeria is that people are conquering our land, and they are trying to take our land and convert us into Fulani nation and caliphate, and that will be resisted with everything we have. Now, the next thing I want to talk about or ask you about is, of course, like I said, we are going to get tough, this evening. We are going to say things that will provoke a lot of people. And on that note, I'm going to bring to the screen the international acceptable, or should I say, the Declaration of Human Rights on freedom of expression and freedom of speech. Now, when you look at what is going on in the zoo, they circulated some kind of threat letter to the medias in Nigeria, threatening them that you must not mention Fulani. When the Fulani have attacked and killed people, you must not mention them. So I'm going to read just very briefly a couple of these international laws. Like here, you see the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 19. Everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. These rights include freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. Now, the same, another international covenant on human political rights, Article 19, everyone shall have right to hold opinion without interference. Everyone shall have the right to freedom of expression. The right shall include freedom to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas of all kinds, regardless of frontiers, either orally or written, or in print and in form of art, or through any other media of his choice. The exercise of the right provide for in paragraph 3 of this article carries with its special duties and responsibilities. It may therefore be subject to certain restrictions, but these shall only be such as are provided by law and are necessary for respect of right or reputations of others, of national security or of public order or of public health or morals. Now, in this particular B, when the state becomes the sponsor of terrorism, of course, there is always exceptional clauses. Now, the African Charter on Human Rights and People's Rights, Article 9, every individual shall have the right to receive information. Every individual shall have the right to express and disseminate his opinion within the law. The resolution 169 on repealing criminal defamation law in Africa by the Africa Commission on Human Rights and People's Rights, 24 December 2010, underlined that criminal defamation laws constitute a serious interference with freedom of expression and impinge on the role of the media as a watchdog, preventing journalists and media practitioners to practice their profession without fear and in good faith. Automatically, this failed in the Zoo Republic of Nigeria, commending state parties to the African Charter parties that do not have or have completely repealed insult and criminal defamation laws. Call on state parties to repeal criminal defamation. Of course, this is directly talking to Nigeria. Now, while I'm reading this, let us go to the European Convention as well of Protection of Human Rights and Fundamental Rights. Something is saying everyone has the right of freedom of expression. This right shall include freedom to hold opinions and receive to receive and impart information and ideas without interference and all that. Then the American Convention of Human Rights, Article 13, is saying the same thing. I don't need to go further. The Asian Human Rights is saying the same thing. Now, I am not going to ask you a question from this what I have just read now. I am not. It is not to ask you a question, but rather it is about what we are going to discuss from here. Now, looking at the Nigeria state today, you see that when it comes to international law, we have what we call the state-sponsored terrorism. We have state actor, non-state actors. Now you have in Nigeria who have been internationally recognized by different nations, by many nations, as aiding, abetting, and supporting ethnic cleansing, supporting terrorism by their action, inaction, body language, policies, and name them. Now it lies in the hand of the citizen of this country. When you have a state sponsoring terrorists against its citizen, it lies in the hand of the citizen to rise up and protect themselves. On this note, you set up the Eastern Security Network against the non-state actors. And we know that the state actors are also there, aiding and supporting the non-state actors. When we are talking about non-state actors, we are talking about the Fulani herdsmen terrorists, we are talking about the bandits, we are talking about whatever name you can name them, they are all the same thing. Now, how do we combat the state actors in the presence of what is going on in Nigeria now, that everybody knew that the state actors are very visible in the field? The Army General called T.Y. Danjuma said, Nigeria Army collude with bandits. You have to rise up, otherwise you will all be killed one by one. Do you want me to play the video so you can, recall your memory on it?
I'm aware of what T.Y. Danjuma said.
All right.
And he said we should all go and buy guns as well. He said
exactly.
Go and buy guns to defend yourself.
And not only him, almost everybody is advocating for everybody to buy gun. But that is not the point. What I'm trying to say is that when you have in a country where you have a state-sponsored terrorist, how do you now, make sure that your people are safe against a state-sponsored terrorism, like we see in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. Before I answer that question, before you started, you read out some conventions and some laws guiding people by the UN, by EU, by Africa, and all these people. All these very fanciful, beautiful words. They are meant for human beings in Europe and in America, in Australia. That is where these things work. It was not designed for animals in Africa, where people do not reason very well, where people do not think very well. You have a country called Nigeria that domesticated into its laws the rights of indigenous people. Africa Charter on Human Rights, that gives you, Simon, the right to agitate for tokenized republic if you want. It is in the laws of Nigeria. You go to the court in Nigeria, a judge will be looking at this convention that is actually a law, domesticated into law, and he will charge you or she will charge you with terrorism. People don't understand the mess that we are in. In a short while, I will answer your question. But until people realize that what we've been saying from day one is correct, their lives won't be any better.
Before you go further, Ahmadike, before you go further in addressing that, you just made a point now about the self-determination. So let me also bring in the self-determination and read it a little bit for people who don't understand. Not for you, of course, but for people who don't understand.
So they know it's Nigerian law. It's in the laws of Nigeria. When you do, they say you're a terrorist. You are being treasonable. But it's in their law. Nigerian law says you can agitate for anything you like. It's there in their laws. Please go ahead.
Now, apart from that, Nigeria being signatory to all these international laws, automatically becomes also they are compelled to respect that law. You know, here you have the right of a people to self-determination is a cardinal principle in modern international law and commonly regarded as a Z00CKING rules. Now, these Z00CKING rules we are going to go into now to tell you what actually, you know, as you can see it, a peremptory norms is a fundamental principle of international law that is accepted by.
Thank you so much, my wonderful viewers, for watching this video together with me from the beginning to the end. Like I said before, if you like what you see here, if you like what I do in this platform, as you have finished watching this video, please hit that red button that says subscribe and put on your notification bell to all notification. In that way, you'll be able to know when I upload a new video. Share my videos, leave your comments in the comment section constructively. Until I meet your way again in my next video, I still remain your Linda's TV show. Bye-bye.